What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Homie Hangout, where we help others move in excellence. This is going to be on Homie Hangout or Rascal Reacts. I'm not 100% sure, but probably the Homie Hangout. Please, though, if this is the type of content that you like, even though you may not like the person that I'm criticizing in this particular video, make sure you subscribe to Rascal Reacts because that's where reaction content like this is going to be. I just got to get it back in the algorithm. And if you've been subscribed to that channel for a while, consider going over there and unchecking the bell notifications and then turning it back on and seeing how that goes. I posted a video there a few days ago about this P-face baby dude out of Compton, who there's a lot of controversy around. So anyways, for this one, look, I was not intending to do a video today, right? I've been working for the last few days on a video that will be dropped Monday that has a lot of layers to it. It's prison gangs, green lights. It's out of Santa Clara County. North-south violence, corrupt prosecutions, a gang of snitches in the Santa Clara County jail who were orchestrating and flipping folks and kind of colluding with law enforcement to build cases and then testifying in those cases. So it'll be a very interesting story, right? And one of those individuals is actually on YouTube. And so speaking of that, this morning I'm sitting here. My oldest daughter's at work, and Jasmine is with the grandparents in San Mateo for her birthday weekend. I'm getting ready to take Eliza, school clothes shopping. And so, like I said, I wasn't planning on doing content. And I get this text, and it has this video. And this person that sent it to me was making fun of, right? It's from Paradigm Media News, John from Paradigm. And he drops this video, I guess today or maybe last night or something. I saw it this morning about this incident that happened in Salinas Valley months ago, right? What a lot of people call the Grinch homicide because he was the most gruesome attacker, right? And so he sends me the video and he's like, bro, you got to check this out. And he's clowning, right? Just to be honest. And it's like, man, I guess this fool John is running out of content. He's talking about removals that happened months ago, right? And he gets Chato and Grinch mixed up in his narration and doesn't even describe it properly, gets him confused. And I thought, okay, I'll watch it, get a little chuckle. So that's not even the part I want to address, though, in the video. Those are valid points, but that's not what this reaction is. I see in the thumbnail, he says, oh, he got hit for stealing, which is not true. And then he goes through this whole thing of, hey, nobody's really told you guys why this homicide in Salinas Valley happened amongst the Northerners. But I've done my research and my homework, and I'm going to let you know. Okay, well, I'm going to do you a favor and let you know that you need to find better people for sources or better information because you could not be more wrong, right? And it's not the first time, right? There's a long pattern of this behavior. So in this case, I've known about the details from when it first happened, but nobody else was doing videos saying what it was. So I didn't feel like doing a video saying what it was. Most of the conversation has been around how gruesome the attack was and how the gunner didn't use lethal force and that kind of stuff, which are all valid points. But then this clown comes, right? And it's like, well, see, what happened is Lil Man, who went through rigorous screening because he's from Fresno, but he's not from Fresno, right? He claims Merced. This is another Northern over there, right? But he says this guy got a job in the visiting room, which is true. And that job opens you up to all kinds of hustle opportunities, which is also generally true. But then he says that he'd been stealing from the NF and made it seem like he had been stealing, like that it happened multiple times, right? From the fellas. Well, that doesn't make any sense because that's a one and done. You don't get a slap on the wrist for that. You get poked. And so, but regardless, that's not what happened. Okay. Yes, he had a job in the visiting room. And then part of why I think this narrative is important to correct is because then it goes on to say, well, look at these guys are so greedy and look at how violent and visceral they are towards this guy for the mere infraction of, chipping a little bit off the top before he turns it in. Sure, that's wrong and there's a punishment, but they almost took joy. It appears that they took joy in brutalizing this dude. And And that somehow says something about their mentality and about how things work in prison for Raza from Northern California. And that's what I take objection to, because again, while there may be some truth to the greed stuff and whatnot in other conversations, it doesn't apply here. What happened was Little Man was working and visiting, and he brought in something for somebody from a whole nother group, from a whole nother group segment. And I'm not gonna get more into the details than that. But if you know, you know. And I seen in the comments that some people were commenting on John's video, like, fool, you got this all wrong. And so obviously people know. Just not the people he was talking to. And so I'll leave it at that. He brought in something for a different group. So it's safe to say perhaps part of the aggression, aside from just wanting to lay a demo down and kind of building up their own resume for whatever future aspirations they may have, right? Meaning Chato and Grinch, there's a betrayal there. I think you saw that in the level of violence, right? Is like, damn fool, you betrayed us, right? You worked hand in hand with the ops, and no, we're gonna make an example of how that's not tolerable, and so they did. I'm not justifying the violence. It's not my place to justify or not justify. I'm not in the mix. I'm not in prison. I'm not affiliated, so I don't really have anything to do with what transpired. Um, but people choose to come on the internet and tell these stories and talk about other people's experiences. At least have the decency to get it right, or shut the fuck up, right, and not speak on it. So that is what happened, and I think that could be a factor in the brutality that was observed. And since we're here, and since we're having this conversation, let me just clear up another piece of misinformation. This whole idea that Northerners have all these pipelines in Salinas Valley, that it's a Northern stronghold, and I use Northern as an overall term, obviously, right? But that it's this big, stronghold. There's all these pipelines because it's in Salinas Valley, so of course, right? I felt the same way 25 years ago when I got transferred to Salinas Valley State Prison, and assumed I was gonna be hella homeboys there because there's hella homeboys from the area outside of this prison. Man, I ain't never seen so many bald headed Mexicans in my life. I was like, good Lord, this we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto, right? I was coming from Solano, which was a level 3, or I was on the level 3 there. And at that time, late 90s, we had numbers, big numbers in Solano. And so I kind of thought that that's how it was in prison. If you go to prison in Northern California, and I view Salinas as Northern California, I could not have been more wrong. South outnumbered North 20-1, no exaggeration on a lot of those yards. And while the numbers have changed a little bit over there, that is not a stronghold of people from Northern California, and I'm not suggesting that nobody has any pipelines or anything else. I'm not going to get into that kind of stuff. But the idea and kind of putting a target on fellas over there, like this group has all these pipelines, they have all these jobs, they have all this stuff. Not to say that they're all just taking bottom of the barrel jobs, but that's just not true. Okay. That's just not accurate. That's not how it works there. There are definitely other groups that got more pipelines and more action over there than folks from the north. And the reason for that is twofold. One, it's a numbers game, right? So there's just more people in Salinas Valley who originate from counties in Southern California than who originate from counties in Northern California, no matter how long they've been down. Okay. So that's part of the challenge. The other part, though, is Northerners don't make very attractive business partners for COs wanting to bring in contraband. Okay. And sure, contraband comes in a million different ways, and we're not going to get into all that, but it's no secret that in some prisons, sometimes there are some staff that bring in stuff that they're not supposed to, and that they get paid for it, right? So I'm speaking generically. Generically, again, the North doesn't make the best business partners or the most attractive business partners. Let me put it that way. I don't want to say they're bad business, but there's too many people in your business, right? The same thing significantly factored into my decision when I was paroling from Pelican Bay Zoo in December 2005. And I had no desire to come home and tap in with folks and plug in or anything else. A big part of that was during my time incarcerated, I saw people who were very discreet, very disciplined, very mindful of what they were doing and how they were doing it. And yet they still got caught up. They still got told on. And a lot of times folks were getting told on by people that they didn't even know existed because there's so much communication. When you're doing business as a northerner, it's not just you doing the business, right? You got to report. There's this homie knows, and this homie tells this channel, and that channel reports to them, and everybody's in your business. And that just isn't very exciting for a correctional officer that doesn't want to get fucking busted to come and do business. When there's other opportunity, there's other options, right? There's other races and other groups where if you say, hey, I'm gonna bring in this shoebox for you, that person's not gonna tell anybody. They're gonna keep it on the low and keep it private. And there's a much better chance that you'll be able to get away with it. These COs work in the prison. They see what time it is. A lot of them come from the streets around Northern California, right? So they're influenced anyways, and they get it. You go look at the S&Y yards, there's a lot of people over there that came into prison running with the North and then decided to tuck tail, right, for whatever reason. All of those people represent the potential that somebody told, right? And told on people in other prisons that they hadn't been to. I got 1030s dropped on me when I got validated from prisons that I'd never even driven by on a bus, let alone been at. But that's just how it goes. So a lot of these SEALs know this. And so they're like, Sal, that's risky business, right? I may have a good rapport with you, inmate so-and-so, and really want to rock with you. It's not you I'm worried about, though. And it's not even your other homie on the yard. It's years from now who that person talks to and that person talks to and that person talks to, and somebody somewhere else getting caught up and deciding to spill the beans on everything. And so I don't mean that like nothing derogatory, I hope is taken from what I'm saying, because that's not how I mean it. Just different groups program in different ways. And I'm not suggesting that there's no such thing as Northerners with a pipeline anywhere in the California Department of Corrections. I'm sure that there is somewhere, right? It's bound to happen. But this presentation that John made of like the North got everything sewed up over there is just disingenuous, and it's misrepresenting the reality. But it also feeds a narrative, right? When people are telling stories, it's good to kind of question what is their incentive, what's their motive, you know? And so if you think of it from the story that he's telling, it sounds like, damn, these dudes have all these pipelines and all these plugs. They're getting all this money. They have all these hustles, and they're going to brutally assassinate this dude. What? Because he took a little off the top before he handed it over? Damn, that makes them sound savage. That makes it seem like something other than what it is, right? But again, the kid didn't take nothing off the top. He brought in something for somebody else. And look, prison is a violent place. Violence is the most common language and communication form. And if you're in that lifestyle, you have to know if you betray people, there's going to be a consequence. And that consequence was played out on camera. And so I just wanted to clear up some of the goofiness. It's quick and easy video, right? Just throw it up here real quick. I'm about to go hit the mall with my son and get him some school clothes or more school clothes. He already has some. But I thought I'd just put that out there because it's hogwash, Holmes. It's hogwash. And I know already there's going to be people, all rascals fact checking everybody. And he thinks he's the only one that knows. I'm not the only one that knows. I wasn't there. But I just have honest, good relationships with people. And so they don't lie to me. And I don't pay people for stories or anything else. I just happen to know some folks that are doing time in some places that are my friends, and that doesn't mean I run to the internet and share everything that they tell me. Like I said, I've been known this story. But there was a misrepresentation done, so I'm fixing that. Look, people want attention. Don't get mad if I come on here and pay attention, right? And so that's all that this is. I don't tell people to come on here and lie. I don't tell people to make up stories for views. And I don't necessarily pick out any time that anybody does that, but sometimes I do, and it's at my discretion. So, anyways, subscribe to Rascal Reacts. I will link to it in the upper right hand corner. It'll be linked to at the end of this video. It'll be in the description. More reaction videos coming over there. I know I got the Mario Sanchez stuff. I got the Mohawk Matt stuff. I got Bozos coming up. You know, there's a handful of people I'm waiting to get some paperwork. But this story that comes out on the homie Hangout Monday morning, that one's gonna be a banger. That is well researched and well informed. And if you think this video is gonna make some people mad, woo, wait till Monday. All right, you guys, help others move in excellence. That's what homies do. Help yourself at the same time because you're worth it. Help your community because they need you. And if you ask for my 2 cents, I'm gonna give you a nickel every fucking time. Take care.